Picture a gripping courtroom saga twisted into a vicious tool of shame and ruin. A corrupt judge, steeped in a dynasty of dominance, thinks he can crush a woman bold enough to defy his reign. But he's blind to one truth. She's no mere defendant. She's the mastermind of his destruction. What unfolds is a ferocious clash for justice, where every hidden truth, every lie, and every betrayal is ripped into the open. Just when you think you've witnessed the depths of his deceit, a shocking twist will leave you stunned. You won't believe who she truly is, or how she turns his own corrupt system against him. This isn't just a trial. It's an all-out war. So, before we plunge into the chaos, tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. If you're ready for a tale brimming with power, betrayal, and a reckoning that will grip you, smash that like button, subscribe, and settle in. You won't be able to tear your eyes away.
On a biting October morning in Chicago, the air carried a chill that cut through even the heaviest coats. The city pulsed with the frenzy of commuters, tourists, and a web of secrets waiting to be exposed. From the steps of the Cook County Courthouse, Dr. Olivia Bennett drew a steely breath. In her early 60s, Olivia exuded a hard-earned grace. Her dark skin glowed faintly under the weak sunlight, her hair pulled into a sleek bun. Clad in a sharp navy blue suit, she radiated authority, experience, and unyielding strength. Olivia Bennett was not a woman to be rattled. As she ascended the courthouse steps, the atmosphere grew dense with the weight of the battle looming before her. Conflict was no stranger to her. She had thrived as a legal scholar, civil rights champion, and, until recently, a senior federal judge. Her career was a tapestry of victories, woven through sheer brilliance and grit. But today, none of that mattered. Today, Olivia Bennett stood as the accused. The charges were absurd: corporate fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy to rig financial markets, each claim more outrageous than the last. Olivia saw through the charade. This wasn't about proving her guilt. It was about silencing her voice. Her bold push for sweeping judicial reforms to root out systemic corruption had earned her dangerous enemies: politicians, judges, and tycoons who profited from exploitation, all itching to see her fall. The case against her was a sloppy patchwork of lies, forged documents, doctored recordings, and coerced testimony from dubious witnesses, all deployed with ruthless precision. Olivia had seen this game before, but never from the defendant's seat. Her attorney, Michael Reed, strode beside her, his face taut with worry. A trusted ally and masterful litigator in his 40s, Michael's sharp features softened only by his concern for Olivia. "We're walking into an ambush," he muttered as they neared the entrance. "I know," Olivia replied, her voice calm but ironclad. "But the only way out is straight through." Security guards at the entrance sized her up with wary eyes, their stares lingering too long. Olivia met their gaze with icy detachment, unfazed by their scrutiny. They scanned her, checked her ID, then double-checked it, a deliberate attempt to make her feel small, to remind her that in this place her power was meaningless. Michael spoke in hushed, urgent tones. "They've rigged the jury. All white, mostly middle-aged men with ties to the industries you've targeted. And the judge, Crawford." Olivia cut him off, her voice laced with scorn. "I'm not surprised. Judge William Crawford was infamous for his brutal rulings, particularly against minorities and women who dared to challenge the system. He hadn't earned his place through merit, but through a lineage of power. His father, grandfather, and great-grandfather, all judges before him. Power was his birthright, a legacy he wielded to crush those he deemed inferior. Olivia knew he'd savor every second of this trial. Inside the courtroom, Olivia felt the weight of countless eyes boring into her. Reporters lined the back, pens flying, cameras aimed like snipers. The prosecution team sat smugly, their confidence buoyed by a system tilted in their favor. Michael guided her to the defense table, his fingers drumming nervously on his briefcase. I filed motions to dismiss for lack of evidence, but Crawford shot them all down. No shock there. None, Olivia agreed. He decided my fate before we even stepped inside. Then why fight? Michael whispered, his eyes searching hers for a sign she wasn't marching willingly to her doom. Her gaze turned steely. Because if I quit, they win. By fighting, I'll expose Crawford for the monster he is. Michael shook his head. You're gambling everything. My whole life's been a gamble, Michael, she said. This is just another roll of the dice. The bailiff's voice boomed, calling the court to order, silencing the room as Judge Crawford swept in. His black robe hung like a royal mantle, his posture radiating cold authority. His pale blue eyes scanned the courtroom with the arrogance of a king. He barely glanced at Olivia as he took his seat. This court is now in session, he declared, his voice deep and commanding. The state versus Olivia Bennett. The words landed like a blade poised to strike. Olivia held her gaze steady, her face a mask of resolve. She wouldn't let Crawford see her flinch. Fear coiled inside her, but her strength was her shield, worn with a warrior's grace. As the trial began, Crawford's subtle tells betrayed his glee. His eyes glinted with malice as the prosecution unveiled their fabricated evidence, a smirk tugging at his lips with every objection Michael raised. This was no trial. It was a spectacle, crafted to humiliate and destroy her. Yet Olivia stood firm. She'd faced fiercer battles, stronger foes. Her legacy was built on brilliance and endurance, and she would endure this, no matter the cost. Michael leaned in close. Whatever happens, you've got allies out there who'll raise hell if this goes wrong. Olivia's lips curved into a fierce, defiant smile. Let them try to break me. They'll find I'm made of stronger stuff. And as the trial roared to life, Olivia braced herself for the fight of her existence. Judge William Crawford presided over the courtroom like a predator eyeing its prey. His presence was suffocating, a chilling display of powers that left no doubt who ruled these walls. His immaculate black robe draped over his broad shoulders, as rigid as his demeanor. His piercing blue eyes, cold and unyielding, carried a cruelty masked only by his smug superiority. Crawford thrived on control. Born into a judicial dynasty, he wore his authority like a crown he'd never earned. Power was his inheritance, wielded with disdain for those he saw as beneath him. To Crawford, justice was no ideal. It was a weapon to enforce his will. He'd known of Olivia Bennett long before she stepped into his courtroom. Her renown as a brilliant legal mind and relentless reformer had pierced his insulated world. The idea of crushing her, of grinding her under his heel, thrilled him. He loathed threats to his order, and Olivia was a woman who'd spent her life tearing it apart. The trial unfolded as he'd planned, with Michael Reed's defense crumbling from the start. Crawford had ensured that. Every piece of evidence Michael presented was met with scorn, every objection swatted away with a dismissive wave. Crawford's face was a mask of feigned boredom, as if Michael's efforts were a tiresome annoyance. "The court overrules," Crawford barked for the third time that morning, his voice dripping with contempt. "Mr. Reed, you're wasting our time. Move on." Michael's jaw tightened, but he pressed forward, anchored by Olivia's unshakable calm. He shot her a glance, silently begging for a sign she still believed in this fight. Olivia's gaze remained locked on Crawford, her eyes burning with a quiet fury that belied her composure. Crawford watched her, his fingers tapping lazily on his desk. Her refusal to bow, to acknowledge his dominance, fueled his rage. He leaned forward, his voice sharp as a blade. "Ms. Bennett, I suggest you rein in your attorney's pointless objections. The evidence against you is airtight. Drag this out, and your punishment will only grow harsher." Olivia met his stare, unflinching. "Truth has a way of breaking free, Your Honor, no matter how hard you try to bury it." Crawford's lips twisted into a cold, mocking smile. "A threat, Ms. Bennett?" "A fact," she shot back, her voice steady as stone. "Justice can't be warped forever to serve the powerful." "Justice," Crawford sneered, spitting the word like venom, "is decided by those in charge. And right now, Ms. Bennett, that's me." He relished the slight stiffening of her shoulders, the spark of defiance in her eyes. Olivia Bennett commanded respect everywhere else. Here, she'd get none from him. The prosecution pressed their attack, rolling out forged documents and coerced testimony with the swagger of men who knew their lies were safe. Crawford permitted it all, his rulings blatantly favoring their side, as if the trial's outcome was scripted long ago. Michael fought on, his persistence admirable but doomed. Crawford watched with the amusement of a hunter toying with wounded prey, valiant, but futile. "Your Honor," Michael said, his voice taut but clear, "this evidence is not just questionable, it's outright fabricated. I've filed motions to dismiss on these grounds, and I demand the court at least review." "The court will do no such thing," Crawford cut him off, his voice a whip crack that silenced the room. "Your motions are baseless. Keep this up, Mr. Reed, and you'll be held in contempt." "Contempt?" Michael's eyes blazed, his composure fraying. "This whole trial is a sham. The prosecution hasn't proven—" "Enough!" Crawford's gavel slammed down, the sound echoing like a gunshot. His eyes burned with fury. "I won't let you turn my courtroom into a circus with your wild accusations. This trial will follow the law, not your client's fantasies of innocence." The words hit Michael like a blow. He glanced at Olivia, his frustration and helplessness laid bare. But Olivia only nodded, her eyes still fixed on Crawford, as if seeing through his facade of corruption. "Your Honor," Olivia said, her voice slicing through the silence like a razor, "you can't scare me into silence. If you think this charade will crush me, you're gravely mistaken." Crawford's smile was a twisted mask of triumph. "You confuse arrogance with bravery, Ms. Bennett. This court has no patience for arrogance. This court has no patience for truth," Olivia fired back, her tone even and cutting. A ripple of gasps and murmurs swept through the gallery. Crawford's eyes flashed with rage, his grip tightening on his gavel. "Speak out of turn again, Ms. Bennett," he hissed, "and I'll see you broken before this is over." Olivia leaned back, her face calm but her eyes alight with unyielding fire. Crawford saw it, that stubborn defiance that refused to buckle. It enraged him. He would revel in her downfall, no matter how fiercely she fought. In his courtroom, his word was law, and he'd wield it like a guillotine. The trial marched on, a grim parade toward the verdict Crawford had already ordained. Evidence was ignored, witnesses silenced, and his gavel fell repeatedly, each strike a testament to his control. Olivia stayed composed, but Crawford could sense the strain beneath her calm. She'd break soon, and he'd savor every moment of her defeat. The trial dragged on, relentless and suffocating. For days, Olivia endured a barrage of prosecution witnesses, their testimonies woven into a noose meant to strangle her. Crawford allowed it all, his face a mask of smug indifference. Every prosecution claim was treated as sacred, every objection from Michael brushed off with a flick of Crawford's hand. The jurors, 12 in all, sat rigid, their eyes reflecting fear of defying the man on the bench. Michael's desperate pleas for reason met only blank stares or nervous fidgeting. The prosecution's star witness, Edward Palmer, a corporate executive with a notorious history of shady deals, took the stand with oily confidence. Protected by powers far above Olivia's defense, he spun a tale with theatrical flair, claiming Olivia had masterminded a scheme to manipulate assets, defraud investors, and siphon funds for herself. The accusations were wild, barely supported, but Crawford never challenged them. He seemed to egg them on. Michael tore into Palmer's story, exposing contradictions and demanding proof. But Crawford cut him off, dismissing his questions as irrelevant. Each time Michael pressed, Crawford's gavel crashed down with brutal finality. "Your Honor," Michael said, his voice tight with barely contained fury. "This witness's testimony is riddled with holes and lacks any real evidence. I demand a full cross-examination without these constant interruptions." "You will not bully the witness, Mr. Reed," Crawford snapped. "If you can't behave with proper decorum, I'll have you removed." Michael swallowed his retort, his eyes burning with rage. Olivia felt his frustration radiating like a furnace. She placed a steadying hand on his arm, urging him to stay focused. The prosecution rolled out more lies. Forged documents Olivia had never seen, fake records tying her to non-existent crimes. When Michael demanded to inspect the originals, Crawford shot him down. "Mr. Reed, your endless attacks on the evidence's integrity are growing tiresome," Crawford sneered. "These documents are admissible. Your objections are noted and overruled." Olivia watched the farce with steely resolve. She'd faced countless challenges, but this perversion of justice was a new low. Still, she refused to let Crawford see her waver. Michael pressed on, questioning another witness, a nervous young assistant from a firm Olivia supposedly defrauded. The young man, barely out of college, squirmed under Michael's scrutiny, his answers vague, his eyes darting to the prosecution for reassurance. "Mr. Thompson," Michael said, his voice deliberately measured. "You claim Dr. Bennett ordered you to falsify financial reports. Yet you've shown no emails, no memos, no proof at all. Is that right?" I didn't get anything in writing," the young man stammered. "She gave verbal orders. She was careful not to leave a trail." "So, we're to believe Dr. Bennett ran a massive conspiracy with nothing but whispered commands, heard only by you?" Michael's voice rose, sharp and incredulous. The witness fidgeted. "I'm just saying what happened." "Or what you were told to say," Michael snapped. "Enough." Crawford's gavel slammed down, his glare slicing through the room. "Mr. Reed, stop intimidating the witness, or I'll hold you in contempt." Michael exhaled sharply, his shoulders slumping under the weight of futility. The witness looked relieved, stealing a glance at the prosecution, who nodded smugly. Olivia's resolve held firm. She'd expected this resistance, known Crawford would never allow a fair fight. But his brazen corruption still stunned her. When Michael rested his case, his voice was raw from battling Crawford's interruptions. The prosecution delivered their closing arguments with slick arrogance, certain of victory. "Ladies and gentlemen," the prosecutor began, his voice dripping with fake sincerity, "the evidence against Dr. Bennett is overwhelming. Documents, testimonies, records, all point to a woman who abused her power for greed. She thought herself untouchable." Olivia sat stone-faced, the prosecutor's words a venomous assault meant to strip her dignity. "Don't be fooled by theatrics or misplaced pity," he continued, his gaze sweeping the jury. "Justice demands you hold Dr. Bennett accountable. She betrayed the public's trust and must pay for her crimes." Crawford's lips twitched with a smug smile as he turned to Michael. "Mr. Reed, your closing arguments. If you think you can salvage your crumbling defense." Michael rose, his eyes weary but fierce. "Justice isn't owned by the powerful," he said, his voice steady and resonant. It's built on truth, and no matter how many lies fill this room, the truth will not break. Olivia watched him, a spark of hope igniting. His words couldn't sway Crawford, but they stirred the jurors, their uneasy glances betraying doubt. It wasn't enough, not yet, but it was a start. In that hostile courtroom, Olivia clung to that faint hope like a lifeline. The courtroom air grew colder as Judge Crawford's gaze swept the crowd. His gavel cracked against the desk, silencing whispers. The verdict was coming, and the tension was suffocating. Crawford reveled in it. Olivia sat upright, her gaze unwavering. Michael stood beside her, his resolve fraying but intact. They'd fought their hardest, but the jury, hand-picked for this outcome, held their fate. "The jury will now deliver its verdict," Crawford announced, his voice smooth with smug certainty. The foreman, a middle-aged man with thinning hair and a nervous twitch, stood. He glanced at Crawford, then at Olivia, wilting under her steady stare. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Dr. Olivia Bennett, guilty on all counts." The words crashed like a hammer. Spectators gasped, murmured, or nodded in grim satisfaction. Reporters scrambled, already crafting brutal headlines. Disgraced, reformer, guilty. Crawford's eyes gleamed with victory, his smile unconcealed. He'd won, and he wanted the world to know it. "Very well," Crawford said, his voice sharp as a blade. "The defendant will rise for sentencing." Olivia stood, her hand steady, refusing to give Crawford the satisfaction of her defeat. "Dr. Bennett," Crawford began, his tone almost gleeful, "you've been found guilty of fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Grave and numerous crimes. This court deems you a threat to public trust, a hypocrite cloaked in the guise of reform." His words were meant to wound, but Olivia stood tall, her face unreadable. Crawford pressed on, savoring each syllable. "You've manipulated resources, abused your influence, and committed heinous acts. Thus, this court orders you remanded into custody immediately, without bail, pending sentencing." The courtroom buzzed with shock. Even for Crawford, the ruling was ruthless. Michael's eyes widened. "Your Honor," he protested, his voice rising, "this is an outrage. Dr. Bennett is no flight risk. She's cooperated fully. Denying bail is pure cruelty." Crawford's gaze was ice cold. "Your opinion is noted, Mr. Reed, and dismissed." He turned to Olivia, his smile returning. "You'll be taken into custody, Doctor Bennett. Perhaps time in a cell will teach you the humility you lack." A bailiff gripped Olivia's arm, firm but not harsh. She let herself be led away, her eyes locked on Crawford's. His victory was a lie, built on deceit, but the cold steel of shackles still sent a shiver through her. Michael surged forward, his voice raw. "This is a mockery of justice. I'll appeal this." "Appeal all you want," Crawford said, smirking. "Your client will face her consequences." Court adjourned. His gavel's final strike echoed as Olivia was led out, wrists bound, dignity battered, but unbroken. Reporters shouted, cameras flashed, and guards held back the crowd. Michael followed, phone pressed to his ear, barking orders. His eyes met Olivia's, a silent apology in his strained face. Olivia stayed silent, her mind a storm of fury and resolve. She'd grieve later, rage later. For now, survival was her focus. The holding cell was small, dim, reeking of disinfectant and despair. The metal bench chilled her, but Olivia sat tall, hands calm in her lap. They wanted her broken, despairing. They'd misjudged her. Olivia Bennett never crumbled. She'd endure. She'd triumph. The cell door slammed shut, the sound ringing in the tiny space. Olivia closed her eyes, breathing deeply, grounding herself. Whatever lay ahead, she'd face it with the same fierce strength, that had carried her this far. The truth was stronger than Crawford's lies, and when it broke free, it would shatter his empire. Olivia sat on the icy metal bench, back rigid, eyes fixed on the gray wall. The windowless cell stank of antiseptic and hopelessness. Her wrists, free of shackles, still felt their ghostly weight, a bitter irony for a woman who devoted her life to justice. Hours crawled by, the courthouse's sounds filtering through the door, footsteps, voices, the distant clang of other cells. Olivia fought to stay composed, but even her iron will was fraying. Michael had tried to reach her before they dragged her away, his voice frantic amid the chaos of reporters and guards. He'd vowed to fight, to overturn Crawford's cruelty. But Olivia knew the odds. Michael was brilliant, but this case was a fortress of corruption, built to keep her down. Footsteps snapped her from her thoughts. The cell door creaked open, revealing a guard, his face blank, eyes averted. "Visitor?" he grunted. Olivia rose, unwavering. Whatever awaited, she'd face it head on. The guard led her through cold, sterile corridors to a small room with a bolted table and chairs. The air was less stifling here. Michael sat waiting, his phone and legal pad spread out, his face etched with defeat. The trial had drained him. "Olivia," he said, voice strained. "I got us a few minutes." It wasn't easy. She sat, hands folded neatly. "Thank you, Michael, for everything." "It wasn't enough," he said, frustration flashing in his eyes. "Crawford's untouchable. The appeal will be brutal. He's made sure of it." Olivia nodded, calm as ever. "I knew he would." Michael gave a bitter laugh. "Of course you did. You're always one step ahead, even when you're the one they're burying." "It's how I survive," Olivia said evenly. "Crawford wanted a spectacle, and I played my part. But this show's far from over." Michael frowned, skeptical. "What are you saying?" Olivia leaned in, eyes blazing. "Crawford's arrogance is his Achilles heel. He thinks he's invincible, that his connections make him untouchable. But he slipped up." "How?" Michael asked, doubt lingering. "Pride," Olivia said. "He wanted to make an example of me, to flaunt his power. That's made him sloppy." Michael stared, torn between hope and disbelief. "Sloppy?" "Olivia, he rigged this entire trial. Jury, evidence, witnesses. He's meticulous." "He's meticulous about protecting himself," Olivia countered. "But his need to crush me has blinded him. He's left cracks in his armor." "You really believe that?" Michael pressed. "I know it," Olivia said, her voice fierce. "Crawford thinks he's won, but the truth will rise, no matter how deep he buries it." Michael sighed, shoulders slumping. "I wish I had your faith. All I see is the cage he's built around us." "Then we tear it down," Olivia said, her voice like forged steel, piece by piece. The door swung open, and the guard reappeared, his tone curt. "Time's up." Michael's jaw tightened, but he nodded. "I'll keep fighting, Olivia, I swear it." "I know," she said, offering a faint smile. "But don't waste your strength chipping at his walls. We need to strike where it hurts." Michael nodded, his mind racing. "I'll figure something out. Stay strong." As he left, Olivia's resolve hardened. Crawford thought he'd broken her, thought her chains made her powerless. He was dead wrong. Back in her cell, she paced, mind alive with strategies. Crawford had played his hand. Now it was her move. She sat back against the cold metal, eyes on the blank wall. Fear, anger, frustration. They churned inside, but hope burned brighter. Crawford couldn't take that. Closing her eyes, Olivia found stillness. The world outside was lost, but her mind was free. She'd bring him down, no matter the cost. When the truth surfaced, it would obliterate him. 2 days after her conviction, the world spun on, uncaring of Olivia's plight. Her cell remained a cold, gray prison, but her mind was a furnace of plans. The door clanged open, revealing not a guard, but a stranger. A petite woman with sharp confidence, her suit flawless. "Dr. Bennett," she said, voice crisp and professional. "I'm Emily Harper, Department of Justice." Olivia stayed seated, eyes narrowing. "DOJ? Didn't know you made jailhouse visits." Harper stepped in, the door shutting behind her. "This isn't your average call. May I sit?" Olivia nodded to the bench. "Make yourself at home." Harper sat, her gaze locked on Olivia's. "Your case has stirred up a storm, Doctor." "Bennett. It's got people talking in the right places." "A storm?" Olivia raised an eyebrow. "More like a whisper, thanks to Crawford." "Maybe," Harper said, her face unreadable. "But not everyone's buying his act. Some see this trial for what it is." "And what's that?" Olivia asked, her tone guarded. Harper leaned in, eyes intense. "A grotesque miscarriage of justice, orchestrated by a man too cozy in his corruption. Crawford's been on our watch list, but we've lacked the evidence to nail him. Until now." "You think I've got what you need?" Olivia asked, a spark of intrigue in her eyes. "I'm betting on it," Harper said, hands folded neatly. "We've been building a case against Crawford for years. Bribery, manipulation, power abuse. We've got dirt, but it's not enough. He's slick." But now he's slipped. Olivia's curiosity flared, though her face stayed neutral. "How does my conviction fit into your plan?" Harper's eyes didn't waver. "Crawford got cocky. His obsession with destroying you left a trail of mistakes he can't erase. We believe he coerced witnesses, faked evidence, and colluded to rig your trial. If you help us prove it, we can bury him for good." The words hit hard. Crawford had seemed untouchable, his arrogance a fortress. But here was a chink in his armor, a chance, however slim, for justice. "What do you want from me?" Olivia asked, cautious but intrigued. "Your help," Harper said firmly. "We need you to expose Crawford for the fraud he is. We've got resources, investigators, connections, but we need someone who's felt his corruption firsthand, someone who can back our evidence and build a case to end him." Olivia studied Harper. Her eyes were clear, her demeanor direct. This wasn't some pencil pusher. This was someone who meant business. "If I sign on," Olivia said slowly, "what's in it for me?" Harper's expression softened slightly. "Redemption. A shot to clear your name and expose Crawford. More than that, a chance to take back your life and ensure he can't ruin anyone else." The words struck deep. Destroying Crawford's empire, reclaiming her life. It was a fire that burned hot. But Olivia wasn't naive. "I've been played before," she said. "Lied to, betrayed. How do I know this isn't another setup?" "You don't," Harper admitted, unflinching. "But I'm not Crawford. I'm not here to break you. I'm here to give you a way out." Olivia weighed her words, her mind racing. Harper had sparked hope, a feeling she'd nearly forgotten. But hope wasn't enough. She needed proof, a plan. "What do you need from me?" she asked, voice low. Harper's lips twitched into a smile. "Your cooperation, your insight into Crawford's tricks, and your grit to bring him down." Olivia nodded slowly. "If you're all in, so am I. But Crawford's reach goes beyond this courthouse. If you're not ready for that fight, we're both wasting time." Harper's smile grew, her eyes flashing with resolve. "Trust me, Doctor." "Bennett, my team and I are ready." "Then let's do this," Olivia said, her voice like iron. Harper pulled a thin folder from her briefcase. "This is what we've got. Names, dates, financial records. It's not enough yet, but it's a start." Olivia took the folder, her fingers trembling faintly as she opened it. Pages brimmed with real evidence, not Crawford's lies. Names she knew, documents she'd never seen, all pointing to a sprawling web of corruption. "You've been digging," Olivia said, scanning the files. "We had to," Harper replied. "Crawford's got powerful friends, but they can't shield him forever. Not if we play this right." Olivia closed the folder, her face hardening. "If you're ready to fight, I'm in, but I need to trust you." "You have my word," Harper said, unwavering, "and I don't give that lightly." For the first time in days, Olivia felt a flicker of something beyond rage, hope, cautious but real. Crawford had underestimated her, and she'd make him regret it. Olivia's resolve burned brighter each day after meeting Emily Harper. Her mind churned with strategies, fueled by Harper's incomplete but damning evidence. Crawford's corruption ran deep, his network vast. Toppling him would demand precision, patience, and a willingness to battle the system he'd warped. Days blurred in her cell, but confinement only sharpened her focus. Olivia pored over Harper's documents, dissecting every detail. Names, transactions, clues. It was a puzzle she was determined to crack. Her legal mind, honed to spot patterns and flaws, became her weapon against the man who'd tried to destroy her. She studied the files until her eyes ached, her will unbreakable. On the fourth day, Harper returned, the guard's reluctance palpable as he opened the cell. Olivia stood, meeting Harper's gaze with fierce purpose. "You've been busy," Harper said, eyeing the papers strewn across the bench. "Not much else to do in here," Olivia replied, her voice steady. "I've torn through your files, and I've got questions." "Good," Harper said, a smile tugging at her lips. "That means you're seeing the big picture." "I see plenty," Olivia said sharply. "Crawford's tentacles stretch far beyond this courtroom. To take him down, we can't just target his actions against me. We need to gut his entire network." Harper's smile widened. "Exactly what I hoped you'd say." Olivia crossed her arms, eyes piercing. "How far are you willing to go, Harper? This isn't just about Crawford. It's about everyone who's propped him up, covered his tracks, and cashed in on his corruption." "As far as it takes," Harper said without hesitation. "I've got DOJ backing from people who want him gone. We've been building this case for years, but his influence has blocked us. Until now." "What changed?" Olivia asked, genuinely curious. "You," Harper said. "Crawford's public attack on you was reckless. His vendetta left him exposed, and we can use that." Olivia's eyes narrowed. "You want me as your key witness?" "More than that," Harper said. "We need your expertise. You've spent your life fighting corruption, fixing broken systems. You know how these snakes slither. That's what we need to nail him." Olivia nodded, her mind racing. "Then let's get to work." For 2 hours, they dissected the files. Olivia's questions were razor-sharp, her analysis surgical. Harper matched her, answering with the precision of someone who'd spent years in the shadows of the system. They crafted a plan, risky, but Olivia thrived on risk when the stakes were this high. As they wrapped up, Harper leaned back, thoughtful. "Most people in your spot would have given up, accepted defeat, and faded away." "Not me," Olivia said, her gaze unwavering. "Clearly," Harper said, smiling. "I'll be back soon with more. Keep digging. We need every edge." Harper paused at the door. "We're in this together, Olivia, whatever it takes." "I'll hold you to that," Olivia replied. When Harper left, a surge of exhilaration hit Olivia. The cell felt less like a cage, the air less heavy. For the first time since her conviction, hope burned bright. But hope wasn't enough. She needed action. Results. Olivia dove back into the documents, her focus laser-like. She jotted notes, traced connections. Crawford's network was vast, but it had cracks, and she'd find them. Weeks passed. Harper's visits brought fresh intel, their progress steady. Olivia's insights were vital, her determination unyielding. Crawford was dangerous, and she knew he'd lash out if he sensed her moves. But the deeper she dug, the fiercer she became. This wasn't just for her freedom, it was for everyone he'd crushed. She'd see him fall. Their exchanges grew urgent, notes and strategies piling up. The investigation gained steam. Then, one night, as Olivia studied a damning document from Harper, a name jumped out, a direct link to Crawford. Her pulse raced. This was the key to unravel his empire. She gripped the paper, eyes blazing. Crawford's world was crumbling, and she'd be the one to topple it. The media erupted like a volcano, headlines screaming about Judge William Crawford's corruption. His name splattered across screens, his legacy shredded by pundits who'd once lauded him. In her cell, Olivia listened to a crackling radio, reporters' voices buzzing with scandal-fueled excitement. The DOJ's investigation had gone public, a bombshell in a war far from won. Harper had delivered. The evidence Olivia helped unearth was explosive. Bribes, coercion, jury tampering, every dark truth laid bare. Crawford's allies, politicians, tycoons, judges, were now in the crosshairs. Olivia's rigged conviction was the linchpin, proof of his abuse. Her testimony, funneled through Harper's team, was the heart of their assault on his empire. Harper's visits grew frequent, their talks a blend of strategy and urgency. "You're shaking things up," Harper said one afternoon, eyes alight. "The world's seeing Crawford for the snake he is." "It's not enough," Olivia said. "We don't just take him down. We dismantle his entire machine, every ally, every institution that let him thrive." "We will," Harper vowed, "but we've got to be surgical. One wrong move, and he'll slip away." Olivia's gaze was iron. "Then we dig deeper, until he's got nowhere to hide." Harper's smile was grim but resolute. "I never thought anyone could crack Crawford. But you're unstoppable." "It's not just me," Olivia said. "It's everyone he's crushed. I'm just the one loud enough to be heard." "They're hearing you now," Harper said, "and they won't stop." But victory was distant. Crawford's allies fought back, vicious and desperate. Lawyers buried the DOJ in motions, politicians called it a witch hunt, and media tied to Crawford smeared Olivia as a vengeful liar. False stories twisted her past into grotesque lies. The onslaught was relentless, the world seemingly against her. But Olivia didn't break. She worked with Harper, sifting evidence, giving testimony, ensuring every shred of Crawford's corruption was exposed. She weathered the attacks with the same grit that carried her through the trial. Public opinion split. Some hailed her as a hero, others as a schemer. Olivia didn't care. She knew her truth and would fight for it. Harper's updates grew tense, filled with breakthroughs and obstacles. Crawford's empire was cracking, but he clung to power, his influence still a threat. "We're close," Harper said one evening, exhaustion in her voice. "But he's fighting like a cornered beast. He's desperate, and that's dangerous." "I know," Olivia said. "But desperation breeds mistakes. When he's got nowhere to run, we strike." Harper's eyes gleamed with admiration. "You're relentless." "I'm just not done," Olivia said. "Not until this is over." The fight raged on, a brutal clash of corruption versus justice. Crawford's world was fracturing, and Olivia wouldn't rest until it collapsed. Crawford's empire fell slowly, then all at once. News reports flooded Olivia's cell, each exposing another crack in his legacy. Harper's team uncovered devastating evidence: offshore accounts, wiretaps of Crawford trading verdicts for bribes, documents linking him to corrupt elites. The media feasted, turning on their former idol with savage glee. But Crawford fought back, a wounded beast thrashing. His lawyers filed endless motions. PR firms spun tales of his victimhood, and his allies scrambled to save themselves. Olivia listened to the chaos on her radio, Harper's visits a lifeline of hope and caution. "We've got him," Harper said, her voice strained. but he's throwing everything at us. Motions to dismiss, pressure on the DOJ. It's chaos. That's what cornered rats do, Olivia said. He'll fight to the end. Harper's fingers tapped nervously. We're close to an indictment, but his network's fighting dirty. Judges, politicians, even cops he's got in his pocket. Then go public, Olivia urged. Release it all. Make it impossible to cover up. Harper nodded. We're working on it, but we need to be airtight. One slip, and his people will shred our case. Olivia's eyes burned. Make it airtight. Whatever it takes. Harper matched her fire, and they tore into the evidence, unraveling Crawford's web. 2 months after Olivia's conviction, the DOJ held a press conference, laying out charges: bribery, fraud, conspiracy, obstruction. The list was a death knell. Reporters swarmed, but the DOJ stayed calm, their case ironclad. Olivia listened, fists clenched, as the truth hit the airwaves. They'd done it. But Crawford wasn't done. In a televised interview, he played the victim, his voice smooth, claiming a conspiracy against him. Some bought it. Protests split the streets, some for Olivia, others for Crawford. His allies decried the DOJ's overreach. Harper visited post-interview, exhaustion heavy on her. He's still fighting, she said. Claims the evidence is illegal, and he's got enough pull to make trouble. Let him squirm, Olivia said. The more he fights, the more he'll slip. You're right, Harper said, a spark of resolve returning. We can't stop now. Then don't, Olivia said. Expose every name tied to him. Leave him nowhere to hide. Harper nodded, fierce. When this is over, he'll have nothing left. The battle raged, Crawford's allies abandoning him as the public's fury grew. The investigation wasn't just about him. It was about the system that birthed him. Olivia vowed to see it raised. The reckoning came with a tension that choked the air. Olivia woke to voices and footsteps echoing through the courthouse. Crawford's trial had begun. Harper's visits had slowed, her updates cryptic to protect the case. Olivia had fought in silence, her testimony and analysis fueling the DOJ's arsenal. Now, her efforts would hit their mark. A guard appeared, pale and tense. Visitor. Olivia followed to a brighter room, where Harper waited, arms crossed, face unreadable. It's happening, Harper said. Crawford's trial started today. We've thrown everything at him, evidence, testimonies, records. How's it going? Olivia asked, eyes sharp. Harper's lips tightened. As expected. His team's claiming entrapment, illegal surveillance, anything to muddy the waters. But it's not working? Olivia pressed. No, Harper said, a spark of triumph breaking through. Our case is too strong. The judge isn't one of his lackeys. He's playing it straight. Olivia allowed a cold smile. Good. Your testimony's being used today, Harper added. It's showing his pattern of targeting threats to his power. It's hitting hard. He can't wriggle out this time, Olivia said. He's trying, Harper warned. His team's pulling every string. Desperate men make mistakes, Olivia said. Harper's gaze softened. You fought so long, Olivia. This can't be easy. It's not supposed to be, Olivia said. But it's worth it. A guard burst in, anxious. Ms. Harper, they need you upstairs. And her? New evidence. They want Dr. Bennett's testimony live. Olivia's heart surged. This was it. Harper hesitated, then met her gaze. Ready? Always, Olivia said, voice like steel. Minutes later, she was in the packed courtroom, the air electric. Crawford sat, flanked by frazzled lawyers, his calm facade cracking, bloodshot eyes, hands trembling. Olivia took the witness stand, her stare locked on his. The prosecutor approached, eager but composed. Dr. Bennett, thank you for being here. This has been grueling. I'm here for justice, Olivia said firmly. You've given extensive testimony on Judge Crawford's corruption, he said. Today, we ask you to confirm it and shed light on his abusive patterns. Olivia's words were a blade, slicing through the room. She detailed Crawford's rigged trial, his fake evidence, his coerced witnesses, his sprawling corrupt network. The courtroom hung on her every word, some moved, some skeptical, but none unmoved. She wasn't just sharing her story, she was exposing the truth. Crawford's lawyers tried to tear her down, their questions dripping with scorn, accusing her of lies and revenge. Olivia parried each attack with calm precision, her answers lethal in their clarity. The prosecutor pressed on. Why did Crawford target you so fiercely, Doctor? Bennett. Her eyes never left Crawford's. I was a threat. I was dismantling the corrupt systems he built his empire on. He knew my success would unmask him as a fraud. The silence was deafening. Crawford's team faltered. The prosecutor turned to the judge. The prosecution rests. Outside, Harper met Olivia, her face alight with triumph. You obliterated his defense. It's not over, Olivia said, but soon. 2 weeks later, the verdict landed like a thunderbolt. Crawford was guilty on all counts. Decades in prison, assets seized, his name ruined. His allies fell too, their power crushed. Olivia walked free, stepping into the sunlight, her name cleared, her dignity restored. She hadn't just reclaimed her life, she'd toppled an empire. Her fight wasn't done. Injustices remained, battles loomed. But for now, she savored the victory. The world would never forget. Olivia Bennett's saga is a blazing testament to grit, integrity, and the relentless pursuit of justice. It proves strength isn't in power or privilege, but in courage and unwavering truth. Olivia faced a storm of corruption and betrayal, but never backed down, fighting with brilliance and faith. Her journey hits home for those who've built lives and legacies against the odds. It's a reminder that justice can triumph when we refuse to be silenced. Allies matter, those who stand with us to expose truth against a stacked system. We all face powers that exploit and obstacles that test us. Olivia's story shows that hope, integrity, and tenacity can spark change even in the darkest times. If her fight stirred you, if it echoes your own struggles and victories, hit like, share, and subscribe. Help spread tales of courage and justice that resonate with everyday heroes like you. Let's build a community where truth and integrity reign. Thank you for joining this journey.